lost Jim right off the bat. There we go. There's Jim.
Hi.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Measuring the Circle, where we explore all things strange. Today is Thursday, March 28th. Can you believe? Actually, wait, it's the 29th. March 29th,
Yep,
2018. We are rolling right along in this year. I can't believe it's already our 6th episode. And with me, as always, over here is my lovely co-host, Jim Pyre. Jim, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Just fine.
Good.
Just fine. Get ready for Easter. Yay!
Yay! Pagan holidays that have been converted
right.
to Christianity. Yay!
I get to eat lots of peeps. I don't care.
Oh, peeps! Peeps!
Yep.
Oh, peeps are the worst, Jim. But that's okay. I won't judge you.
All right, good. Don't judge.
No judgment here, Jim. No judgment here.
All right, good.
I also have in my lap here, I want to introduce our newest co-host. I just got a new dog. This is Bella. She is a 5-year-old Chihuahua that I adopted, and she's very cute. She's also very interested in UFOs and high strangeness, as me and Jim are. And Jim, I lost you again. Oh, boy. All right, guys. So this episode, we are going to be talking about UFOs and high strangeness. With the disclosure movement just steadily, pushing along ever since December, when the Pentagon released that they have been, here, let's try to get Jim back. Ever since December, when the Pentagon released that the defense program has been, spending some of the budget on researching UFOs, it's really been a big topic on paranormal researchers' plates. Hi, Steve! I see Steve Foster in the comment. How are you guys doing tonight? If you are just tuning in to our stream, oh no, Jim! As usual, we always have some sort of technical difficulty. Okay, let's see here. We'll get it figured out, you guys. We will get it figured out, you guys. So on this show, during the first part of the show, we are going to be talking about some of the different theories regarding UFOs and the UFOnauts, the strange creatures that are found operating or exiting the ships. And I think we should definitely talk a little bit about the To the Stars Academy, which is, oh, geez. Jim. I know, Jim, what the heck? Maybe I can try giving him a call through Facebook. Let's see here. So, sorry guys, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Just having technical difficulties as usual. So that's going to be the first part of our show. We're just going to talk about some different theories. If you guys in the chat have anything that you want to contribute, I'd love to hear what your theories are. Are you somebody that subscribes to the nuts and bolts theory? Do you think that UFOs are some sort of extraterrestrial entity operating a spacecraft that's flying here across the universe, possibly through wormholes or with some sort of, hyper drive, warp drive, on their crafts that are allowing them to come here? Or do you think that UFOs and these encounters might be something more to do with philosophy and might be something mentally happening to these experiencers? There's a lot of different theories, and I think that the very interesting thing is that no matter what theory you look at with ufology, there's a lot of contributing factors to it, and there's oh my gosh, and there's a lot of different theories that can be backed up by different claims. So let's see here. Time travelers, says Steve Foster. Yes, that is definitely a theory that I partially believe. I do think that these entities are able to... I got booted, Jim just texted me. I think that these entities are not as much traveling through physical space as they might be traveling through time or traveling through different dimensions. And I think that if they're not abiding by our three dimensions and time, so 4 dimensions, if they're outside of that and they're not abiding by that, that could explain a lot of the strange maneuverability of the craft, the way that they appear and disappear, and the way that they're able to levitate things. I mean, they clearly aren't under the constraints of our physics that we're constrained by. Oh, hi, Lily. Oh my gosh, that dog looks like my dog. Is that a Chiweenie? No, this is Bella, and she is a full Chihuahua. I just adopted her. She's the newest addition to my family. She's 5 years old. She's such a sweetheart. All she wants to do is snuggle and cuddle with me, which is great. She also kind of looks like a gray alien because she's got the big black eyes. So I think she's just absolutely adorable. And in other news, I also wanted to bring up that this is the last time that this show will be filmed or broadcasted from this location with this background, because in 2 weeks I'm going to be moving into a larger condo where I'm going to have my own paranormal office. Yay! I'm super excited about that. So I'm going to have a lot more room, and I'm going to be able to have more people over and just hopefully get a lot more research done. Because right now, although you guys can't see what's behind my computer, but I'm actually like in the corner, cramped in my bedroom. So having my own office is going to be able to get, help me get a lot more stuff done and continue bringing you guys these awesome videos. So let's try to get a hold of Jim again. Steve Foster in the comments, I have a live comment stream down here in the corner. I know it's kind of small, so if I see some comments come through that are good, I definitely want to read them out to you guys. Steve Foster said, as it was once said, anything sufficiently technologically advanced will be nearly indistinguishable from magic. And I absolutely agree, Steve. One of the things that I wanted to talk about in specific to the UFOnauts, these entities that are seen inside of or exiting, spacecraft or these UFOs, there's no real set guide as to what they are, what they look like, or how they interact with people. Some people report seeing the typical gray alien, these little 4-foot tall, big head, big eyes, gray-skinned creatures. Sometimes it's gray aliens, but they're tall. Sometimes they wear spacesuits, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes there's human-like creatures. Sometimes they're human hybrid-looking creatures. Sometimes they're mantis creatures. People have even reported seeing Sasquatch or Bigfoot leaving UFOs, or directly afterwards, or directly following seeing a UFO, they'll also see a Sasquatch. So there's just, a huge range of different entities that people, have reported seeing, whether they've been abducted or if they have a close enough encounter to actually see within the craft or see an entity exit the craft. I'm going to go ahead and switch over because I have something really cool that I'd like to show you guys. Let me pull it up here. So this right here is something that I just stumbled across that I thought was really interesting, and it kind of illustrates, for lack of a better word, it illustrates this idea that, there's no consistency in these beings that abductees report or close encounter UFO witnesses report. So there's this guy named Stephen Hirsch, and he is a photographer and artist, I believe in New York City. And he started a project, which I'd encourage you guys all to go and support, called the Little Sticky Legs Project. And what he does is he interviews alien abductees and photographs them and then has them draw an image of what they've seen. So I was just going to quickly go through here and show you guys, you know, once again, a gray alien. This guy's report was that he was just like a typical small gray alien. Here, there was a whole grouping of gray aliens. She said they came through with a message about shifting consciousness for humankind and that they were pure light, which is something that's, you know, commonly referred to in ufology, is that they're light beings, which just, you know, once again makes me think about extra dimensional, you know, creatures. In this guy's encounter, he saw, humanoid entities, where he couldn't really tell what they were, but they definitely looked human. Some of them, he said, some of them were huge, some of them were small, and they were all wearing these strange robes inside of the ship. And this one, you know, she was abducted. I don't think she actually saw an entity. Another gray alien, he says that they informed him that they were the, I don't know if I should say race or species, or from the planet Zetas. This woman, Janet, she was being carried off by 6 of the traditional ETs, the gray aliens, and apparently there were military men, which is also common, that there will be humans also assisting these gray alien type of creatures. So I think that this is really cool. Like, here's a experiencer who witnessed a reptilian that looks totally different. Well, we got a couple more here. So I think stuff like this is just, you know, stuff like this is really cool, and it really helps illustrate this, because just the National UFO Reporting Center, so NUFORC.org, I believe, just that agency alone has collected over 100,000 reports, which some of them have been added in from written reports pre-internet time. But the majority of reports are coming in now because of the ease of reporting on the internet. And let's see if I can get Jim. Hold on, you guys. Is Skype working yet? Hey. She wants to tell you guys all about aliens. I think if anybody would know about aliens, it's this weird little dog. It's okay. Shh. So another thing that we wanted to talk about, besides the UFOnauts, is we wanted to actually talk about the crafts themselves. There's a lot of different theories as to what these crafts may be. Oh wow, let's see. I once went to meetings with people who were abducted. This is from Lily. I was a paranormal support group, but I was the only one there who was there for a ghost. It was fascinating. Lily, that sounds really, really cool. I would love to hear about what kind of stories you heard there. I've been to a few different UFO meetup groups, and for the most part, you know, it seemed like it might have just been because the group was established and had, you know, worked through any sort of different opinions. But I was really the only one there that seemed to have different opinions about things. A lot of people used to believe, as I brought up earlier, the extraterrestrial idea that these, you know, entities are traveling through space and time to get here and visit us. And that the reason why people don't see the same thing is because, well, clearly there's, you know, an infinite universe out there, so there must be all these different kinds of species with different technologies, different evolution, different culture, and that's why they all appear so differently. Now, you know, my question with that, and, you know, by no means do I know, because I don't think anybody knows. Sorry, Tom DeLonge, I don't think anybody knows, really, what is happening, because I think it's outside of our realm of comprehension. But the problem with that is, do you really think that all of these species would be coming to visit us. A lot of people that think that seem to think that we need help, that all of these different races are coming here to try to aid in our development, to try to get us to join a intergalactic council, to try to change the course of history in some way. And to me, and this is just my own belief system, so take it as you will, to me, that just sounds extremely egocentric. And, you know, we used to think that the whole universe rotated around the Earth, and I think that's kind of the same, along the same lines. Let's see what else people are saying here. Military people wearing military uniforms. Yes. That has been reported in many abductee cases, that while people are getting prodded and having these terrifying things happen to them, you know, in these laboratory type of situations aboard of the craft, that there will be humans dressed as doctors or military personnel standing in the background, kind of assisting in the procedure. Do you think our military and government knows? Well, I do think that they know. I do think that they know more than the common person does because of the amount of research that they have been able to you know, do, but I don't think that they have all the answers. I think that a lot of times, you know, these, oh gosh, Jim said, call me, I can't connect with you. Effin' Skype, you're gonna have to go solo tonight. You can do it. Let's try it again one more time, you guys, just for good measure. I don't want to say that I, you know, didn't try. Oh my gosh. Madeline, one theory is that we were placed here by aliens as sort of a zoo. Oh, wow. You know, see, once again, there's so many theories for everything that it's really hard to just keep everything straight and understand it all. Do I think that we're here as part of some sort of zoo, as some sort of experiment? I mean, I guess, who knows? You know, who's to say we are, who's to say we aren't? It wouldn't mean anything would be any different than it is. And it does kind of seem that way. Let's see. Dawn. Sid, Travis Walton's story is scary. Yeah. While it is scary, some people believe that Travis Walton's experience, which, what was the movie that was about his story? Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind, I think it was called. His story was, he was out with a group of friends. They were lumberjacks, I believe, and they were out and they saw this beam of light, and he got out of the truck to go look at it, and it hit him, and he was gone. He was gone. He was abducted, and all of his friends were like, holy crap. He turned up a few, you know, days later, and oh, Fire in the Sky. Yeah, Fire in the Sky. That's what it's called. And when he turned up, you know, oh gosh, the story that he tells. I mean, you guys really should go listen to, you can find his interviews online, and definitely, that's a really great movie if you like alien and UFO movies. But his story, you know, frightened a lot of people, and a lot of people were really scared. But there's also a possibility that maybe they didn't mean to knock him out, and maybe they actually saved him. Maybe the light beam hit him and knocked him out, and they rescued him and brought him back to life and brought him back in health. So I think that, you know, once again, there's a million theories for everything, and nobody knows jack. Dawn, in comments, in order to keep the peace with certain aliens, I heard we made a deal with aliens. The deal was that they were only allowed to abduct a certain amount of people, kind of like they're harvesting them. Maybe they're harvesting people to get some sort of DNA or learn about our consciousness. You know, once again, who really knows? One of the strange things that people report on board of UFOs, in case gray aliens, humanoids, mantis-like beings, Bigfoot himself, in case that wasn't weird enough, something that a lot of people report is that they're robotic creatures. One person in particular saw a large, dark-colored, almost like a Halloween costume, like square box with little antenna, glowing orange eyes, step out of this craft and begin rummaging around the forest. I mean, these robotic-type entities are not just limited to the very obvious robotic or mechanical-looking creatures. There's a lot of reports where people have witnessed a being that moves very slowly, that is very awkward, that floats or defies laws of physics as we know it. A huge case that took place in the United States, in Kentucky, was the Hopkinsville goblin case. And the quick summary of that story is, I believe it was 1956, in this tiny town of Hopkinsville, which I have been there, and I've actually been to the Hopkinsville Kentucky Goblin Festival, which is a yearly event where everybody gets to relearn about this, you know, incident and dress up with little alien headbands and, you know, this last year was very interesting because it was the solar eclipse that happened, and Hopkinsville was actually one of the places where you could see the the greatest duration, or the totality of the eclipse. So there was more people in that town than I think it's ever seen. It was really crazy. But the short story of what happened that day was the Sutton family had some friends over. So they were out of town. They were from out of town. They were from New York, and they came to visit. And one of them was outside and looked up and saw this multicolored craft crash into the backyard where the crops were, like crashed into a field. He ran inside. Everybody, everybody, something just crashed in the field. And they're like, ah, shut up. You've had too much to drink. Well, not even an hour later, they start hearing stuff outside. The dog is going nuts, so they start looking outside and they see all these little goblin-like creatures, these little 4-foot-tall, gray skin, big black eyes, big ears, and that night, they had a total shootout with these aliens, okay? This was like a small town in Kentucky, and there were, you know, no shortage of guns or balls on these guys. They ran out there and they were shooting these creatures, and they were not harmed. They would get hit and they would just kind of float back and float away. They left behind a glowing substance instead of blood. And by the time the police got there, they ended up packing up the family, going to the cops at like 3 in the morning, and were like, oh my God, there's aliens, ah. And so the cops followed them back, and all that was left was some weird glowing substance and shotgun shells all over the yard. The cops are like, okay, that's weird. Well, when I went there, I got to talk to Geraldine Sutton Stith, who is the daughter of the man who owned this farmhouse and had these experiences. She was not born yet at this time, so she did not personally, live through this encounter. But I actually got to talk to her and, asked her, if these creatures weren't making noise, they weren't walking, they weren't affected by bullets, what makes you think that they were actually creatures? And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, don't you think that they could be some sort of drone or some sort of robot or artificial intelligence? And I felt very proud of myself because she said she had never thought of that theory. And she has been researching and talking and lecturing about the Kentucky Goblins for many years now. I think probably 20 years. So I think that this kind of stuff happens more often than it's realized. These things are not acting like animals are. Let's see here. What do we got in the comments? The average person who claims to be abducted has a higher than average intelligence. There have been people who claim abductions that live in New York City and it happened there in the city. Wow, that's very interesting. I would like to meet somebody who's been abducted, like in a very busy area, because that's not usually the case. You know, another thing that I wanted to talk about in regards to different theories of UFOs is that the way that they communicate. When people actually have these encounters with these UFOnauts or aliens, whatever you want to call them, they don't always communicate the same way. Sometimes they speak in some other language that isn't understood by humans. A lot of the experiencers are not able to accurately recreate the sounds that they were making. But in the cases that they were able to recreate it with their, vocal cords, none of those sound the same. So are those just different languages? That could be possible. But the weirdest thing to me is how many people report these entities telepathically communicating to them. That a lot of people are familiar with the Barney and Betty Hill case, which was, widely known as the most infamous abductee case because of the credibility of this couple, Barney and Betty. And something that really struck me was that Betty said that these aliens were able to talk in English, she was able to understand them just fine. But then as she was recollecting herself and rethinking about these events after the fact, she realized that they weren't talking at all. They were actually just humming. And somehow their humming was being translated in her mind into English. A lot of experiencers, if the entities do speak English, or the experiencer's native language, that the entity seems to talk really slow or have a really weird accent or not know the proper way to ask things. And I just really think that all of this goes along with the thought process that there's something more than just nuts and bolts here, you guys. There's more than just extraterrestrial entities flying spacecrafts across the cosmos to land in your backyard, and then wait. And then they're telepathically telling you stuff? This is definitely a field where we need more discussion. We need new ideas. We need philosophers. We need people that study consciousness and the psychological elements to these abductees and UFO experiencers. And that's my piece, and I'm going to drop my mic. Boom! We have next for you guys, we actually have a fan of the show, Steve, who's in the comments. So everybody say hi to Steve. He has been so great to us and gave us the opportunity to record an interview where he talks about his very unique and very interesting UFO case. He had a very close encounter with an entity, and I was actually able to do a digital illustration of what he saw that night, which you guys will see in the interview clip that I will be playing here shortly. So, definitely, everybody say hi to Steve, and I will be on the YouTube chat box, so if you guys have any questions at all while I go ahead and play our interview, just let me know, and I will be there talking to you guys. So enjoy the program. I will be back. Bye! On December, I'm Steve Foster, who had mentioned to me on previous Measuring the Circle episodes that he had unexplained encounters. He relayed that while he was living in a small town in southern Georgia, just 120 miles southwest of Savannah, he had experienced something very bizarre during the middle of the night. After a brief discussion of this experience through our show's chat box, he sent me the full report. This is his story. About mid-August of 1998. This is the approximate location I was at when I saw the object. I do not remember the exact time. I only remember waking up and just rolling over and sitting on the edge of my bed. I had a twin-size waterbed at the time, so sitting on the edge wasn't all that comfortable, and if you did it wrong, you could very well slide your leg across the wooden frame and give yourself one heck of a scrape. Of course, that night I did, I scraped the back of my right leg from about mid-calf down. I got up, walked to the screened-in porch area on the back, out the door, onto the grass, barefoot the entire time. I crossed the yard until I got to the approximate area I have on this map, and then looked up. I can't explain my behavior at this point. It was like I was automatic. When I looked up, my first thought was there was 2 moons in the sky. I rubbed my eyes, thinking that I was seeing double. I don't know why, but for some reason, I always remember doing that. When I looked again, one of the moons suddenly dropped down, stopped at eye level. I don't mean dropped, like as would a yo-yo or anything else tied up to a string or rope would do, have that little bounce back up. But it came straight down, stopped at eye level without the bounce you would associate with something moving down. I do remember the object was about the size of a car tire, one of those smaller sized tires, like a donut. It was a gray metallic, all one color. Smooth and uniform. It glided straight to me, and for whatever reason, I didn't feel afraid. To this day, I'm not scared thinking about it or recalling it. But here's the strange part, as if it couldn't get any stranger. When it touched me, it turned soft. It molded itself around my head. The best way I could describe it is if you were laying down flat on your back, and someone took a big bag full of warm jelly and lowered it onto your head so the plastic bag slowly goes around but molds itself to you. The next morning I woke up and I noticed that there was bits of wet grass and dirt on the sheets and on my feet. So I don't know, do I have missing time or was I abducted? I can't recall anything after the feeling of it surrounding my head. Could I have dreamed the entire thing after sleepwalking? Well, I don't normally do that. I don't know anyone that does regression hypnosis or if it's even trustworthy. That's what happened to me. Asking questions and discussing other events, we decided that we had to set up an interview to learn more details of Steve Foster. So do you feel like you were woken up and drawn outside to see this thing?
Yes. It's just the only thing that makes sense after all these years of thinking about it off and on. That's the only thing that makes sense because I would never have any other reason to get up and go outside.
Have you ever sleepwalked before or after this event?
If I have, no one's ever told me.
Yeah. How do you know that this?
So this was your one and only encounter with something like that. Never had any other strange things happen in your life?
I've had 2 other sightings that I could talk about, but nothing like that.
Yeah, please. There might be some connection between them.
Well, the next one was in Tennessee on Highway 51. I was coming back from the grocery store with my father, and the way the highway is not an interstate, but it is a divided highway. And I was going south on it, so you would have to stop and go down a little incline or a little decline and come to another stop before you cross the northbound lanes. Off in the distance, straight in front of me. And I think I sent you some pictures of that.
Yeah, of the location, yeah.
In front of us was a little red light. I mean, it was just very small. Either it was very small or it was very far away. But easily covered with like the tip of your finger if you held it up. And it's just a small little dot. And I told my dad, I said, "Hey, do you see that?" And he looked over, and about that time, it zipped across the sky. It zipped over, like in this formation. It was like right here. Then it went this way. Then it went up, and then it just disappeared real fast off to the
that right. Classic like Z shape.
Like a reverse Z.
Yeah.
Like if you were to draw out a Z, do it in reverse. Start at the bottom.
Now, what did your dad make of that?
I said, "Did you see that?" Really fascinated. And he said, "Oh, it's probably just a helicopter."
Oh no.
Well. I had been in the military, and I had ridden in helicopters before at that time. And I told him, I said, "Well, if that's a helicopter, remind me never to get in it." Yeah.
The G-forces would definitely cause some damage going in that type of manner.
Yeah, even if you're strapped in really good, you're not going to survive something like that.
My gosh. So was this before or after the UFO was in your backyard?
This was after.
It was after. Okay.
Yes.
Did you notice anything strange happening in your house when you had that UFO encounter?
The only strange thing happened, and it happened once when I lived there and once when I lived here. And I've been asking so-called experts, and no one's ever really gave me a good answer for it yet. But have you ever been like lying down and you know you're not asleep, but you know you're right on the edge of going to sleep, but it's not one of those sleep paralysis things, but you're just laying there, all of a sudden you hear your name called, and it's not like in a whisper or someone yelling it from another room. It's just like someone standing right next to the bed and they just say your name in a normal voice.
I've heard of reports like that. Jim, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I've heard of that too. Yeah, that's not uncommon, but I've never had the experience myself, but I have heard of those. Yeah, I don't know if it's like a form of hypnagogia or something else.
But I remember sitting upright, I just bolt upright at that time. So it was not in a voice I was familiar with. And like I said, it wasn't like yelling out my name. It wasn't whispering. It was just like a normal conversational tone. Like I'm speaking right now, like someone just said, Steve.
That sure sounds weird.
That is weird.
And they sat both upright, looked around. Of course, nobody's there. But
was it a voice?
I can recall offhand that I just cannot come right out and explain.
Yeah.
Without using explanation, it's just a helicopter kind of explanation.
Yeah, one of those explanations. Yeah.
Was it a voice that you might have recognized? Like, was it a male voice? I mean,
I couldn't tell. I could not tell if it's male or female. It did not sound familiar.
It almost seems like it might have been like psychically implanted in your head, you know, instead of yeah. Because I have heard reports of, you know, things like that where people will hear a voice put into their head. I was just interviewing a man 2 days ago, actually, that said just a week ago he had a voice come into his head and say, you know all that you need to know. And he's like, oh my God, am I crazy? Like, where did that voice just come from? But I think a lot of people that have, you know, UFO encounters, they have this kind of psychic phenomenon that follows them throughout their life. So it's really a matter of there's no way to really differentiate between, you know, was that an actual objective voice that was throughout the room or was it in your head? Unless there was someone else there. Did anybody else hear that? Probably not.
No, I was by myself both times.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting. So let's go back to that UFO encounter because there's a great part of the story that we didn't get to yet. So you wake up in the middle of the night and you're drawn outside. You look up and you see this object. You think maybe it's another moon and you're confused, and then you realize it's right there in front of your face. What happens next?
I can't really describe it because it's like, I'll describe it the best I can. It's kind of like when you're transfixed, you know, like they say, like with the cobra staring at you, and you know you get transfixed. And I just remember standing there staring at it. I don't remember really thinking about anything, but it was like, I don't know, maybe I just couldn't move, or I wasn't allowed to think about anything, or my mind was blanked out, or what. But I just remember seeing it there, and then having it come towards me.
How close did it actually get to you?
This is the really, really strange part about it is because it did just come up close to me and stop. The best way I can describe it is when it actually touched me, and it'd be just like if you were laying down and someone took a bag full of like Jello and just slowly dropped it over your face until it just completely surrounded you.
Wow. So it kind of like molded itself.
I've actually heard that before. Did you feel like your head was in a fishbowl, kind of?
I don't remember a fishbowl. No, it retained the same shape until it was close enough that it just kind of like formed itself around my face. Now I don't know if it actually went all the way around my. I don't know if it went all the way around my head or what, or if it just covered my face. I wouldn't have been able to see it if it had been. But it wasn't hot. It wasn't cold. I didn't feel anything else. But I just remember it was almost like the same temperature as I was, so it wasn't like a shock or anything. I just felt it kind of like, touch me on the face, and then just slowly start to form around it.
Could you kind of feel like the pressure or the weight of it? Is that how you could tell it was like, no, not even that?
No.
Oh, wow.
But I do remember a couple of years afterwards, I was watching the movie Stargate with James Spader, and I can't remember the other actor's name, but the one that was in the movie, whenever they would step through the gates and how their face would go into it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was kind of like that. If you could feel that, that's probably what it would have felt like.
So while all this is happening, how did you feel? Were you scared when this thing was coming towards you like that?
Be honest with you, I didn't know what to think. I was just kind of like just stood there, and I don't remember feeling scared or excited or anything. I was just kind of like, I think I was still being controlled, basically. Yeah,
it seems like it.
Like when the teacher told you, stand right there, don't move.
Yeah.
And then that happens, and you just, and I remember I woke up the next morning, I was back in my bed, and my very first thought was, that is the wildest and strangest dream I think I've ever had.
Sure.
Wow.
And then when I got up, I noticed that on the bed there was like blades of grass and some dirt when I went outside barefoot.
Oh my God.
And just brought in, stuff stuck to your feet with you.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I knew that I had been outside.
He asked at that point you knew it wasn't a dream because there was physical proof.
Right.
That you had been outside. So after that, when was the first time you talked about it? Did this kind of affect you? Like, were you like, what the hell happened to me? And when was the first time you talked to someone else?
Actually, I brought it up that morning to my mother, and it was just kind of like blown off. It was just, weird. You just had a weird dream, kind of. But I remember when I woke up that morning, I was feeling kind of hyper, like I just, not like, jacked up like on caffeine or anything like that. Just kind of felt like I was excited. I didn't know why. I still don't know why, but it just felt like I was just kind of like, it was like, when something really good happens to you and you feel like you want to share it with everybody. But I mean, I just didn't say anything to anybody else after that. I mean, I just kept it to myself until I was watching your podcast and
that's
your
good
YouTube program, and
you decided to share it. I mean, that's really good.
Finally.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
I was 19 then. I'm 48 now, so I think it's about time that.
Yeah. So
and that memory still stayed with you all this time, so that
yes.
there's some validity in that. I mean, oh my God, that's a long time.
I wish I had written it down or something so that I can go back, I could just give that to somebody and then I can tell them what happened and they can see that I haven't changed a thing on it.
Right.
I wish there was more of it I can remember, like what happened before I got out of bed.
Right.
When I first saw the object and when I first got out of bed that morning.
Well, it's still good you're telling us now. I mean, at least the memory isn't lost entirely, if you never shared it. Something that I always like to ask people that have had paranormal experiences, before this encounter, what was your belief system like? Did you, read and research stuff about UFOs? Have you ever heard of anything like that?
And I would say probably if you would ask people that knew me at that time, they'd probably say excessively. I don't think that that's actually was my first encounter, but I don't remember what it would have been or when. I've always been fascinated with the unexplained.
Do you think that has anything to do with your encounters? Because there are a lot of theories out there that people that research fringe subjects almost kind of manifest that into their reality.
It could be, and also it could be because of their situation is what happened to them is why they're researching it. I mean, True. It can go either way.
Yeah.
But as far as for myself, I don't know. When that happened to me, I don't think that was anything that I manifested myself. It definitely wasn't a delusion.
Right.
If it was, I have myself pretty well convinced of it. But if I hadn't had those other sightings afterwards, I probably would have just written it off as, you created it in your mind. You got yourself believing that it's true. And, just let it go and move on. But like I said, I seen that one with the red light that zipped across the sky. Unbelievably fast. And then the second one I had was where I live now. I was out one night and I was just looking around and I looked up and it wasn't a ring of white lights. It was a horseshoe shape of white lights. Okay. And you could see the individual lights. It wasn't just like one solid beam of light. You could see like the individual lights on it.
Yeah.
And the open end was moving north away from me. And that one was moving kind of slow. I would say it probably took a good 10 minutes to go from where I live over the horizon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But there was no red flashing light nor green flashing light. So it wasn't, definitely wasn't FAA approved.
Were the lights the lights on the bottom of it or on the side?
I just saw the horseshoe shaped lights. I said, they were all white.
Okay.
I don't know if they were on the bottom or if they were on the side or if there was both. I just saw the.
You could just see the lights. Yeah.
Right. That's all I could see was the lights, and I could see on one end there wasn't any, and that was the direction it was moving in.
Yeah. Yeah. Was this at night? I'm guessing.
Yeah, that one was probably pretty late. I remember I was up late, probably about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I went online right afterwards, and I looked up MUFON and other places like that to see if anybody else reported it. And there had been reports of other ones in my area, but going back like 10 years ago.
Okay.
There was nothing recent.
Right. Wow. I've never seen anything like that. That's very interesting.
No, neither have I. I confess I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Anything remotely similar.
I've never seen a triangle one, so.
Well, now you've put it out there, I would start looking at the sky. It might just be there tonight.
Yeah, the strangest thing is that, I wonder how many times they are there. But because, you're driving, you're looking at the road, or you're walking and you're looking down at your feet or directly in front of you, you don't see them.
Yes.
Oh, that's true. I think there's tons of stuff around us we don't comprehend. I think if we did, we'd lose our mind.
There's like a barrier to keep us sane.
Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think so.
Well, I used to live in Pensacola, and it was a couple of years after the Gulf Breeze, but I went down there one night to that shoreline park where all the sightings were made. And as I was sitting down there, I was just looking around myself, trying to see if I could see something happen. And I saw a red flashing light, and somebody told me that that's just the anti-collision lights of the hotels over on over on Pensacola Beach. So we were sitting there and we were discussing the sightings that had happened, and one of them told me the story about how when that one that they call Bubba showed up, they turned around and they would say, hey, you got to see this, and the guy just sit there with his head down, looking right at the little picnic table that was there, and he goes, there's nothing there. He refused to look up.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are like that. It's like, nope, nothing there. I'm not looking. Can't make me look.
Yeah. They have their blinders on like this.
Exactly.
That's what keeps us sane. I'm not looking.
So what are your beliefs now on UFOs? Do you kind of subscribe to the nuts and bolts theory, or do you think this is more of a psychic phenomena?
Actually, my theory is kind of I don't know exactly how to put this. I've told it a couple of people, but I actually believe in the nuts and bolts theory, but with a caveat to that. I think some of them, a large portion of them, is not from another planet. And I don't think that they're interdimensional either. I actually think that they're probably could quite possibly come from our future.
Oh, yeah.
They're time travelers, and they're coming back because of, the devastation that we're bringing to Earth, like right now. And due to toxic environments, maybe we got to the point where humanity can't reproduce very well on its own.
Yes.
There's in 500 years from now, there's a gentleman named Smith, and he's got a great grandfather named Steve. You know who I'm talking about. And they want a child. What better DNA can you get to be like your own?
Very true.
Yeah,
so they go into the past, get DNA from their distant relatives, and bring it back. I think that's probably one of the reasons why, you always hear about the small grays with the big eyes, because I think they're specifically designed to be able to withstand the rigors of time travel, the speed and everything.
Okay.
But I also think that we probably got too advanced enough that regular humans could survive it. And that's why you hear on occasions of you see people on board interacting with them.
Some people, I just recently have been kind of researching into the idea that these gray aliens are almost like an AI robot. They're kind of just the grunts that the humans have created to, withstand the pressures of time travel or space travel, depending on how you look at that. That's why they don't show emotion. That's why they don't seem to have bodily functions like normal animals or people would have. And I think that's very interesting. I mean, we in 2018 are so close to having AI and AI robots that are able to help us with things. I mean, we already have the technology, so I think it's, definitely plausible to think 500 years from now we could have a fully realistic looking creature like that operates our spacecraft, and travels throughout the universe like that.
You just told them and said, okay, from our records, we know that my great-great-great-grandmother, Madeline, lived in this area at this time. So, that's what they do. They go back, they extract what they need, and then they go back to where they came from. But they're also probably told, don't tell them anything, whatever, make up this story, whatever. Because if we tell her, she can tell everybody else, and then what we know of as of now will be gone. Because, messing with space time and
you got
changing.
That paradox.
Yeah, you mess up the timeline.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why the humans, you don't see them that much.
Yeah.
Or if they do, they might make a holographic representation of whatever they want you to see.
Do you think
And I think
that's
one of,
do you think that's, you know, what happened in your case? Do you think that might have been something, whether it be a future ancestor of yours, do you think something was interested in you particularly?
you know, I've heard stories where people said things like they had a certain memory installed,
Yeah.
and then it was coming to retrieve from them later. You know, they don't know what the memory was. It was blocked from them. But it almost seemed like that's what I think, because it didn't just, you know, take me completely. It just went around my head. And that's why it makes me think, you know, this is wanting something out of here.
Yeah. Now, have you ever thought of doing some sort of regression or hypnosis regression to see if there were any other memory of that event that might help the story?
Yeah, I thought about it. If I could find someone that was, you know, I would say probably is trustworthy and experienced, like someone like, unfortunately, the deceased John Mack.
Yeah.
With that, you know, it's someone like that, just your local neighborhood
hypnosis
amateur. No,
yeah.
I've done a lot of, you know, study on that, and I know that, you know, they can't make you do something you would not normally do. You know, like run out in the road, you're wearing your underwear, clucking like a chicken. If you wouldn't do that normally, you know, under hypnosis, you're not going to do it. But I just, like I said, if I'm going to have that done, I want to have someone that's a professional.
Do you think that you might have an implant? Have you ever searched your body to see anything like that?
I'm clumsy enough that I have enough scars and everything on me that I wouldn't be able to know which is which, you know.
Yeah, and they're usually so small and minuscule that unless you're really a trained eye like Lear was, and he had special, you know, detectors, very high, you know, specialized EMF detectors to pick up the frequency that it was giving off and stuff. So, that's interesting.
You know, I remember reading he would say things like in his book, Dr. Lear's book, about how when they would, you know, operate, and they would make a small opening right next to it. When they would reach in there and get it out, it would move away from them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, that is so crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it was trying to avoid being removed. I mean,
Jim, do you have any other questions for Steve?
No, that's great. Thank you for sharing, Steve. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on.
Hello, guys, and welcome back. Give me 1 second here, as I'm not able to set up scenes in OBS, which is the broadcast software. I'm not able to set it up while we're live, and I usually have all of this stuff set up before, oh boy. I usually have all of this set up before I, you know, start my broadcast, but we had some technical difficulties. Here we go. Hey, there I am. It seriously would not be a live video show if there wasn't some crazy technical difficulties with things. Awesome. Okay, I am on now. So what did you guys think of that? Thank you so much, I want to say, to Steve for sharing your experience. And I just recently launched my own website. It's madeline-kate.com, madelinekate.com. And on there, I have a page that is about the unexplained. And part of that is that being an artist, I really wanted to bring my talents to the paranormal field and help people that have seen unexplained things create a visual. So I'd like to work with more people with drawing, or Steve was the first one that I did a digital illustration for. I would like to work with more people and you know, offer my talents in that way. So if you guys have had a unique encounter with an entity or some sort of, you know, anything that I can draw, basically, you can find me there, madeline-kate.com. Please feel free to follow me or the show. I'm very active on both things on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Madeline Kate, except Instagram is mkate93, I think. I don't know. Don't worry about it. You'll find it in the show links. And then Measuring the Circle, we're on Facebook, and our website is measuringthecircle.wordpress.com because I am cheap and I can't afford a domain. So please, if you guys have had some sort of strange encounter, I would love to talk to you. I am more than happy to provide you confidentiality. I don't need to post your name or anything, any details about you that you wish to redact. Because your privacy is the most important thing, because I want people to feel comfortable with coming forward. Although I'd love to have you on the show. I'd love to have more people to interview and post like we just did Steve. So thanks again to Steve for coming forward. He said in the comments during that time that this was actually the first time that he's retold his entire event. So it was absolutely wonderful, and I hope that more people feel comfortable with coming forward after hearing it. Let's see what else. Let's see what else people have been saying. This is the first time I've ever told the entire thing out loud to anybody, is what Steve just said. Django said, anything planned for Halloween this year? Ghost hunting in Chicago. No, I actually don't have anything planned for Halloween. I have a couple paranormal road trips and investigations that I will be partaking in. The only major thing that I have planned is in August, I'm planning to go to Yellowstone. So I don't know if anybody that's watching this is familiar with David Paulides, but in that area is where the majority of people go missing. So me and my boyfriend are packing up our bags and driving across the country, and we're hopefully going to be, you know, missing on the missing 411 list of missing people that vanished from Yellowstone. Just kidding. Oh man, now I put that out in the universe. Now we're definitely going to go missing. I hope he doesn't watch this. Let's see what else people have been saying. She did a sketch of a black-eyed person. Yes. I have done now 3 sketches of black-eyed entities. I've done a sketch of a large, godlike, winged serpent humanoid. I don't know how better to describe it than that. And then I've done this digital illustration for Steve of the UFO that he saw in the sky. So, like I said, please, you guys, if you need somebody that you want to talk to about something that you've had happen, I absolutely do not care if you don't want it to be published on this broadcast. I'm more than happy to talk to you in confidentiality. Let's see what else. Anything else? The type of area and places people have gone missing, then stay away from that area. You know, people have often called me brave because there is not anything that I won't do, but I'm not sure if it's bravery or stupidity. I haven't yet determined that yet, but anyway, you guys, I wanted to let you know that next month, in case you missed the beginning of this broadcast, next month it's going to be totally different because we are actually packing up and we are moving into a new condo. Which is going to be great because I will be able to have my very own paranormal office. So I'm hoping that that's going to help me a lot with the show. I'm going to be able to, you know, broadcast more often without the noise of Bella barking and my boyfriend making dinner in the background, and also going to be able to have more cool stuff than just this wall with my 3 sad little Egyptian things. I'm hoping that because I'll have the whole office, I can arrange. I have quite a collection of strange occult objects, and it would be great to be able to show you guys those things. So besides that, next month we're going to have a totally new studio. And next month we have planned, we're going to be talking to Timothy Renner. And he is from the Strange Familiars podcast, if you guys are podcast listeners. It's a really great podcast. He's also an author. He's written a couple books, and mainly his research has been, although varied, it's focused a lot in Bigfoot and different theories about these ape-like humanoid creatures, which will be great for our topic. And then he also is working on a new book about the flannel man. A lot of people have heard of the Hat Man or the Shadow Man, but flannel man is actually something that has popped up a lot in different paranormal reports. And it's just these strange creatures. Creatures? Men? I don't know what to call them. But we're definitely going to be asking him about that book and about the research. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. We tried to do things a little bit differently each time. This has been a complete learning process for me. I'm a graphic designer as a career, but video and video broadcasting is not my specialty at all. So it's been a lot of learning how to use video editing software and broadcasting software. But I'm really enjoying where this show is going, and I hope you guys are too. We're 6 shows in, we're half of the year through, and if you guys like this video, please subscribe. It would mean so much to me, because once we get to 100 subscribers, guess what? We're going to be able to have youtube.com/measuring the circle, and we no longer have to be youtube.com/HJW6 parenthesis whatever it is now, some crazy URL that YouTube gave us. Another great thing, once we get to 100 subscribers, we're going to be able to broadcast live from our cell phones. So that means when I go on paranormal adventures and go stay overnight in haunted asylums and go missing in Yellowstone, you guys are going to be able to watch live from the magic of my phone. Well, maybe not in Yellowstone, because I don't think I'm going to have signal, but you never know. So we'll try. So please, you guys, like and share this video, and thank you so much for everybody who was in the comments and talked to me and kept me from being lonely tonight. I really hope that everybody has a great Easter and a wonderful weekend, and until next month, have a good night. Bye-bye.